Welcome back to the CayVin Universe. Today's guest can be seen in his newest film, Somewhere in Montana. Today we have Matt Drago joining us today. Matt, how are you?
I'm doing so great, Caylin. Vinny, thank you so much for having me on your show today. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Yes,
Oh,
for
yes,
sure.
absolutely.
So we kind of just wanted to jump right in and just I know, with your acting career and stuff, we want to know how it all started. Like when did you get into acting?
Since I can remember, honestly, I had the bug inside of me since I was brought here onto this planet. I just really felt like I was a kid that really loved to dive deep into my own creativity, my own imagination. Didn't need a lot of toys growing up, humble beginnings in Virginia. Just really loved to, get on the theater stage and just be around my people. I feel like stories are really impactful, especially more now than ever, because AI is definitely trying to take over in many facets of the industry.
Right.
So for me, it really honestly just was about being on stage as much as possible growing up. And again, that kind of stemmed to me going to New York City and just
Hmm.
being around my people. There's nothing better than a good story, right?
You're
Yes,
right.
yes, and that's what we like to dive into is the origin story.
Yes.
So like, do you remember, I guess, your first theater play that you did, or the first time, like, I mean, even if it wasn't for theater or if it was like in front of family, like when was
Hmm.
that first moment that you got that like
That rush.
that rush? Yes.
Yeah, The Rush probably was my first time on stage. It was Follies, to answer your question. I was 4 years old, just in the choir at the local theater. And from there, I did Music Man and probably about another 15 or 20 shows growing up in middle school and high school. I mean, I did everything from Billy Bigelow and Carousel to Sky Masterson and Guys and Dolls, and
Yeah.
really just couldn't get enough of it. My first paid gig which obviously got that was a big thing for me because you get to get paid for what you love.
Sure.
Was in dinner theater in Virginia. Dinner theater is actually really humble, though. It's a humble practice because you're on stage and then you're refilling drinks and clearing plates. So it was definitely something from an early age that just kind of sparked this thing about me loving this dream, me loving this craft, but also understanding that I knew I was going to need to work for it. And I really did. I felt like that was always my mentality. I pride myself in the fact that I was closing bars in New York City until 4 a.m. And I moved out to LA and I didn't have a job, and I was the top task rabbit. I don't know if you know what that is, but I was the top task rabbit in LA for about a year and a half. And it's because I again, just like did everything that I needed to do to keep the dream alive, and I continue to do
Right.
that to this day.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
And I know you said you had to, of course, you have to work for it. So like tell me or tell us a little bit about like how that like how all of that was. Like did you overcome like any hurdles or like maybe obstacles
Yeah, basically
down the
in
road?
paying your dues, like that,
Mm-hmm.
like you said, scratching and clawing, to pay your dues in the industry, as they call it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, any big moments, because like, yeah, that's the thing, especially when you're chasing your dreams. It's like, was there that moment, those nights where you're just like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? You know?
Honestly, there really wasn't. I really always felt like, again, I probably was like from the dinner theater, but like I really did understand that, like, there are going to be sacrifices that need to be made in order to keep the dream alive. I say this all the time, but dreamers are fighters. Like, don't sleep on dreamers. Like, we fight for our dreams and, sometimes to our own detriment, if I'm being honest, but it's because we love it so much. And so for me, there's really never been a plan B. It's always been about just my love of telling great stories and acting and immersing myself in the psyche of humanity and diving deep into so many of these characters. So no, I really did. Like every time I took a bar shift, or every time I did a little task rabbit job or something like that, like I felt like it was character building in a way, and who knows what comes out of it. Again, you become like a beacon of light in your life, and you just kind of approach things that like again, there's not going to be a plan B. This is like literally what I want to do in my life, and I think people are attracted to that over time if you just keep meeting people and keep leading with grace.
That's yeah, that's good. That's good. It's definitely inspiring.
Mm-hmm.
And your current project that you're working on, or recent film rather, somewhere in Montana. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it's a story of the times, and honestly, as an actor, it's what I've always wanted to do is tell these big stories that I feel like are impactful and, really force people to, feel, right? Because I think we're always better collectively when we're in touch with our good emotions, right? Our
Mhm.
positive feelings, right? This is a story about two uniquely different men. I play Fabian Verdugo. He's a LA-based director, a film director, and his love and legacy is film. And John Alexander, played by my friend Graham McTavish, plays a Montana rancher. And his legacy is his ranch. And Brandon Smith is the writer and the director of the film, and he writes this unique film, and that we both really need each other in this moment. I need his ranch for my legacy piece, which is a film that's really important to me. And it's, again, just this perfect setting that I want to shoot my film there. And he needs me because he needs money from the film because his ranch is on life support and it's in danger of being foreclosed upon. What he writes so really well in this film is that we are both the protagonists and the antagonists of our same story. And I think that's so unique, but it's so true of so many people in life, right?
Mhm.
Where we're good people, but sometimes we antagonize each other and sometimes we don't even know why. So I feel like he writes a really good story in that, like, we are two uniquely different people and we just are thrust in this position where we have to coexist and we have to find mutual respect, which again I feel like in my life is the highest form of love that you can give another person. We have a 10-page scene that's just the two of us where we go there, like we
Yeah.
talk about all of the social, political, religious elements that you could think of in a very hot topic conversation. But it's what drew me to this project, it's what drew me to this film, because again, as a child growing up in Virginia, like this is what I've always wanted to do and be as an actor.
Yeah. And us a little bit about like working with Graham. And you also worked with Michelle Hurd, who right away when I saw her, I immediately remember her from Law and Order SVU. That was like in some of her earlier years. So I was like that like attracted me right away. I was like, wow, like, they're well known. And then I think he's known for like, Outlander and there's something else, House of the Dragon. Yeah, I think he was in Rambo I saw too. So yeah, just tell us a little bit about like when you found that you were going to be working with them, like your feelings and how it all went.
I think so much of what makes an established actor a pro, as they're called, is just the amount of space that they give, actors, no matter really what part of their career they're in. Because again, I understand, like, you might be an unknown actor, but it doesn't mean that you haven't been doing it your whole life. It's just that you've been given the opportunity to really kind of show your stuff and what you're about as an actor, right? So Graham really just became a fast friend, and again to this day. I mean, 3 weeks ago he was checking in on me with the wildfires that were going around here to make sure that I was okay. We really created a bond in this big story, and a lot of the dynamic that we had on screen, I think, was created off screen. We would get our breakfast together. We would, go to the local restaurant and really just talk about these big scenes and again, so much of that is that space that pros give you. Same with Michelle. Some really deep, meaningful conversations that I've had with her. I mean, I honestly see her as a big sister, and it's really ironic that in this film, she plays my producer, and a director-producer relationship is very much a brother-sister relationship. Because the director a lot of times is focusing on the left brain, right? The creativity and like, well, we need to get this and da 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 da. And the producer a lot of times is the one that's like, no, we need to do this or this is going to fall apart. And there are so many levels of building a film that I think are explored in this film within a film, because it's easy to have a great idea about a film, but to take it from point A all the way to Z and make it a fully functioning project that exists is really hard. And there's a lot of challenges that come within making a film. And so the film really explores that. But I really can't say enough about the two of them. I mean, Graham is the first person that's ever called me mate in life, which is a sign of Scottish camaraderie.
Yeah.
And he did that like literally as he was leaving. After we finished rapping, he was about to get in the car, and he looked back at me and he said, "I'll see you, mate." And it really meant a lot to me. It meant a lot to me because of like the story that we had told together. And again, it's just these types of relationships that you have with seasoned actors that have been doing it for a long time, they're invaluable because again, they give you that emotional support. These are people that I can call or text if I need a little bit of advice now. Like they're people in my life now, you know, and there's just such joy that they've brought me in telling this story, and I look forward to having them in my life for the rest of my life.
That's so
Yeah, that's really amazing. I did watch the trailer for the movie, and I was curious because I noticed a lot of the main parts that they put of you were very like powerful. You know, you were doing the yelling and the so like I'm curious, like once reading the script and you knew you had to kind of like get to that point, how did you prepare for like how do you prepare for the role and how did you prepare like, you know, for this role specifically?
That's a great question, Caylin. I mean, honestly, this was a little bit of a risk for me. I felt Fabian big right away. I felt like he was very passionate, but don't confuse that with being a diva. He really cares about his people on set. He cares about his actors. He cares about his crew. These are his family. Like these are people that he cares about. He cares very much about leaving stories behind that are very impactful. So you know, I say this all the time. Like he will go down with his own ship. He's somebody very early on because I write a lot of backstories for my character. I went a method approach for this role, which is the first time that I've immersed myself fully into method. And this kind of stems back to all of the great training that I got in New York City with the great Terry Schreiber, who got Edward Norton his start. And you know, something about Terry that really made him a grandfather in my life is how many different vessels he would give you to articulate your work and how he would help you find your process. And so, you know, we're with some roles, I might go a little bit more of a Meisner approach. I might go a Stanislavski approach. I might do a little bit of kabuki training, which is kind of, Japanese body work to find the character in your body. I really found myself really gravitating to Fabian very early on and really understanding him. He is the first character that I've ever truly fallen in love with. And so I felt like method made the most sense because it could, you know, give me the opportunity to really align with him. So that way, you know, when I came to set, all I would have to do is say the words, right? Because that's when the magic happens. When you're around other great actors and you've done the work, you just have to say the lines and again respond. And so much of the character driven things that you see are off the lines too, you know, the behavioral elements. For this character, I lost 25 pounds. I hired a nutritionist and two nutritionalists, a husband-wife duo, Jennifer and Trace. I wanted to make sure that I was doing this in a healthy way, but I really felt like this character forgot to eat meals. He cared about others more than he cared about himself. And so when you see him be passionate on set, I really wanted to make sure that you could also see the other parts of it, which you see when you see the film a little bit more, because you really do understand that like he's just fighting for something. And haven't we all been passionate, you know, or, you know, maybe done or said things that we, you know, reacted badly, like when we're fighting for something in our lives, right? So, and again, like John does the same exact thing. Like we are both antagonistic towards each other, but we're both good people, you know?
Yeah.
So this process was unique to me. I found myself like journaling, finding little different idiosyncrasies about his backstories, things that I felt like drove him, different relationships that I had or lack of relationships. You know, I felt like he was a loner, that he didn't have time to have personal relationships outside of what he was doing because he's up against the clock, like we all are in a way. And so for Fabian, it really is. It's about leaving a few impactful stories behind that can resonate. And something really special happened with aligning with Fabian is that it's kind of taken me to the next chapter in my life where now I have my own production company and I'm producing and lucky enough I'm producing with my wife, and there's nobody better to collaborate with than somebody that you love. And so
Yeah.
her maiden name is Hunter, right? See, I know I'm talking to the right people. Yeah, I'm talking to the right people, right? But yeah, I mean, it's just it's really special. She's a writer. She's actually heading down to Project Involve right now, which is Film Independent, the Spirit Awards. She went to the Spirit Awards a couple weeks ago, and it's just this resistance of independent film and independent cinema. And I tell people all the time, especially like people listening to these podcasts, like support indie films, like they are The Last Resistance. And as we're talking right now, the Oscars were yesterday, and a $6 million movie literally took 5 Oscars. I mean, that's incredible. And it gives us all hope because, again, with so much that we're up against right now with AI and the machine, I mean, human stories matter more now than they ever have, and you have to be able to make sure that they're told exclusively by humans. And this story is a story of the times, and it's one that I'm always going to be grateful to be a part of because it's allowed me to this next chapter, which is bringing a little production back to where we're originally from in Virginia and getting our team together. And I think in this process, I've learned as much as I love acting, I really truly love collaboration, and I love like just being around people that really have that same fight to tell great stories. And so I'm really excited for this next chapter for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds amazing. Beautiful. And then yeah, because I wanted to ask about, what you have going on next, but somewhere in Montana, where can people find that?
So right now, it's in a little bit of a hiatus. It was actually originally it was in the Midwest. We got basically, a small theatrical run. We're hoping for an expansion now, basically to go to more theaters. But I will keep everybody updated because eventually it will come to VOD and streaming as well. But for this film specifically, every film has a different approach. We went to Rocky Mountain NATO, which NATO stands for the National Association of Theater Owners. And it's one thing that Sean Baker said in his acceptance speech for Honora last night is that we really, really, really need to get back to the theater. Like it's a human experience to be around people. And I know that we have like kind of become complacent with COVID and being at home, but like there is nothing better than the human experience of seeing a story together and feeling it and feeling the energy of others. And so, what Brandon wanted to do, and it's a little bit of a risky approach, right? Because everything is streaming in VOD right now, is that he really wanted it to be a conversation piece. Because I say this all the time, this film is about those 2-minute conversations afterwards for both sides coming together, whether you're this side or that side, like to find that common ground again, because we are too divided. And there is more that can connect us than could ever divide us, but we have to remember who we are. And this is a talk piece for that. So, right now, we're kind of in that hiatus. We're hoping for an expansion. Again, some of these theater owners like might own 30 theaters. They tested it out in the Midwest, but I will share all of my updates on my social media at Matt Drago. From there on Instagram, MattDrago, you've got my link tree. It's got my website for my acting, mattdrago.com, dragonhunterproductions.com for my production company, my IMDb if you want to check out my past and future things. But I will let everybody know from there when it becomes available on VOD and streaming as well.
Nice. And we'll put all that in the description as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, what are you looking forward to next?
I honestly, collaborating with my wife. Again, she wrote this beautiful Christmas story. We're originally from the same hometown in Front Royal, Virginia. We ironically met in a 12-person acting class in New York City, only to find out that we grew up 3 blocks away from each other. And this is a love letter to Front Royal, just in the way that Brandon wrote a love letter to Polson, Montana. There is something special about bringing a film back that's everybody's film. And again, like just kind of having it be like a town thing. So she wrote this beautiful Christmas movie. It's a little bit of a darker toned Christmas movie. It's got some depth to it. And it's about, an actress that moved to LA and is now returning home. So write what you know, right? And it's a beautiful story, kind of in the vein of A Christmas Carol. And hopefully we'll be working on that in the next couple years. She's also going to have her first short film produced by Film Independent, which have gotten a lot of great independent artists their start. So we're just kind of trying to align all of these different pieces right now, me with the acting and the producing, her with the writing. I also want her to get into directing because I think that relationship between a writer and a director is kind of precious because you wrote it on the page and then you took it through the production. What's so incredible about Sean Baker getting back to Honora is he also edited it, so he basically did all 3 phases of the same film, which is like I don't think that's ever been done in Oscar history where someone has one basically writing, which is pre-production, directing, which is production, and editing, which is post-production. And so many, I mean, each of those different processes in a film are so vital. And to have that connection between all three, I mean, again, this is why you need your team. This is why it's no surprise that so many people work together over and over again because they understand each other's visions. The conversations get a lot shorter and people just really understand what it is you're trying to do and what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
That's what's so special about it. Brandon actually just told me at a screening that we had here about a month ago that he's already in the works on writing my next part. And it's such a humbling feeling because it shows that not only did I serve the material? Did I do my job as an actor? But that I really, really was a good collaborator, somebody that, you want on set, somebody that you want to work with. It's honestly the highest honor when you have that, director actor relationship, because again, it's about doing the work and serving the material. It's really one of the most intimate relationships that you can have artistically as a director and an actor. And you can see why actors and directors work with each other over and over again, because it
Yeah.
becomes those short little conversations. It honestly becomes more fun. And hopefully he'll be able to get some of the team that we had in somewhere in Montana to make another picture together.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I never thought of that too. Like that's a reason why you want to continue to work with the same people,
Build
build
relationships.
relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then like I mean that's kind of why when you hear some people, are difficult to work with,
Oh
but
yeah.
we won't get into that.
Yeah.
But do you have anything
I guess I wanted to end with like if there was any advice that you would give to somebody who's like struggling to become an actor or, is just really passionate about it, just doesn't know where to start, like what would you say to them?
Absolutely. I mean, here's the thing about it. It's like if you have a dream, if you have something that you're passionate about, to give up on that dream, to give up on that passion, you will be giving up a part of yourself. So I say this all the time is, really, really just continue to find joy in whatever you can in terms of the process of it. I say this all the time, but like auditions are the win. It's your opportunity to bring yourself uniquely to a project, right? And so it's different ways to continue to educate yourself, finding mentors. I mean, being curious, right? It's like when I was in New York City, that was like where I just, took everything in. So find people that you align with, find people that, personally lift you up, never bring you down, and understand that like if this is something that you really want, that when you become a beacon of light, you will become attractive to others and people will align with that. So, I mean, as much as I know that, acting and being a creative is, a dream to some, there are a lot of practical elements that come into play, just like any other profession. So I say this all the time, just continue to love the craft, continue to be creative, whether that means picking up a play and reading it, whether it means, just enjoying putting yourself on tape. You learn from the best, right? And watching film, right? Because that's studying too.
Yeah.
So it's possible because again, I'll be the first person to say I had no connections whatsoever to this industry in any way, shape, or form. And I have bartended until 4 a.m. in New York City. I have been a task rabbit. Like I have done everything that I can to keep the dream alive. And if you do that and you keep enjoying the journey of it, remember the journey is the destination. And if you can keep enjoying that and the process of being a creative artist, I believe that you will be a beacon of light, you will attract others, and you will find your path.
That's awesome.
that's beautiful.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that.
Oh wow. And did you have anything because I know you mentioned your links and all that good stuff, but any others that you wanted to let everyone know before we let you go?
No, that's it. I mean, it's the easiest way. I can only do so many social media
Right.
platforms. It
Oh
gets
gosh, yes.
overwhelming now.
Yes.
How many are there right now? Like
Yes.
10, 12? I mean, it's like crazy, right?
Yeah.
So, Instagram is the only way you'll find me, really. It's the only one that I'm active on. So, again, at Matt Drago, and then you've got my link tree there. That's the best way to follow. I'll post any updates as the expansion happens. If it doesn't happen, I will let you know where it's coming to streaming and VOD. And again, you know, part of being an actor is putting yourself out there too. It's conversations like I'm having with you guys right now, right? And just letting people know what you're about. So don't be afraid to let people know what you're about as an artist, because I think it really does speak to, you know, more than just what you do as an actor in that, you know, episode of TV or, you know, that film. It's like, what do you want to say? What do you want to do? So, you know, don't be afraid to have really wonderful conversations like I've had with you today.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I think you're, yeah. And your, I mean, yeah, your journey, I guess you can say, is just so inspiring. You know, what you do is so inspiring. So thank you so much for joining us on the show. Thanks again. And yeah, have a great rest of your night.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me today.
Yes. Have a great night, Matt.